All right, you know what? Hold on. Let's do this. Boom! Hello. G'day. How's it going? My name's Michael, the Daedalus Gamer. And welcome back to DAG Reads, where we read books, because DAG is literate, and I'm going to prove it. No. How you all doing? I hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon, wonderful day, whatever time it happens to be. I'm starting a little early from our about to stream thing, because I just want to hang out a little bit, you know, and I feel like it's my stream, it's my channel, I can hang out. So the notification hasn't gone out yet on my Discord. It will go out, you know, when the bot decides to send all that stuff out. But in the meantime, we're gonna hang. And I wanted to just give a quick, like, warm and, like, big well wish to Adrienne. You know, I know that you've said you're muted, but in the event that you haven't, I'm sending all the well wishes, like genuine well wishes. Like, you know, it was really good meeting you at Gen Con, and I really hope that you can, you and your partner can make it, so I can meet, I can see you guys again. So hi everyone. So where to begin? First of all, right, like guys, this Saturday we had a freaking amazing and incredible fundraiser for Are You OK, which you know, it's still going over the next few weekends. Let me put in the Are You OK thing. Ignore all the other stuff, but if you guys want to, you can still donate to the Are You OK fund thing, which is for the, you know, like sort of a company that focuses on mental health, mental wellness, which is very important to me. So on Saturday we did our Through the Breach game. And it was just so incredible to have so much support, so many people coming out, made so many new friends there, and it was truly a pleasure. So it is going on for the next few weeks, well, the next, you know, this week, next week, and stuff like that. So go check out my socials. I do have the poster still up, or you can go check out the Are You OK streaming schedule. It is so freaking amazing. Mr. Bybooth. You killed it, mate. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. You know, like I say all the time, Through the Breach is such an underrated game, but it is so much fun. And I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff like that with Through the Breach and things, hopefully this year. Not to drag out old shit, but, you know, the OGL stuff and all the drama that was circulated around there. You know, the weird thing is, right, people talk about the OGL and they're like, but, you know, Wizards backpedaled and blah, 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 blah. The thing is it didn't affect me greatly, but it affected a lot of people I really truly care about, especially because a lot of my friends are publishers, people who are in the industry who, you know, that was just kind of like having someone like really put a lot of pressure on a vulnerability they didn't realize. So, you know, Cobalt Press, a bunch of other people are looking at other systems and making their own games. You know, even after everything that's, you know, sort of happened, which is the OGL hasn't been changed. It's now in Creative Commons. You know, a whole bunch of other stuff there. But, you know, one game that I've always loved that never relied on it was Through the Breach. It's a card-based game set in its own unique world. It's such a unique type of gameplay. Even just mechanics of, like, leveling up and being in that game are so vastly different to most RPGs that, you know, I mean, I really want to champion that as an RPG system. I do know those publishers and stuff like that, and they run they basically, the most of their money comes from their war game Malifaux, which is a lot of fun as well. So there isn't much in the way of the support towards the TTRPG yet, but there is a lot of content and a lot of stuff. So I'm hoping that I can, you know, like, you know, bring that to light and like show a lot more stuff, maybe even do a tutorial series to help people get into it. But you know, time is always my enemy. But yeah, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a great Valentine's Day game. I think we had lots of like really cute little flirty moments, some absolutely freaking awesome moments, like when G pulled out her minigun and just vaporized one of my bad guys. I was like, oh yeah. I'm really glad that someone paid, I think it was Schoolie Eye even, I think someone paid for a boss buff, and I buffed my boss. I really did. Like, he had more hit points, he was almost impossible to hit, and then she pulls out the red Joker, and you just see this minigun just annihilate this dude. That was unfortunate, you know, because Through the Breach is not like D&D where you got, like, you know, tons of hit points and a long battle sequence. It's like, no, this is like what happens if that actually happens to you. So if you get shot with a bullet, you'll die probably, you know, like it's really hard to survive a bullet wound. When you survive point blank range from a person with a machine gun, yeah, okay, that's a bit tough. So yeah. Also they had backed up but it revealed a lot about what they really think of the community. Yeah. You know, like so there was a lot of trust that was taken away. So, so I'm looking at doing not only Pathfinder, which I already do, as many of you know, but also like looking at other things as well. Through the Breach is like one of those things that I'm like, oh man, I love Through the Breach. I really need to get that back in circulation. But I don't know. Part of me is like, I really want to play Through the Breach like on a regular. But, you know, like, no one knows about it. So, you know, got to fix that first, and then maybe I can get into, like, a campaign, and that'd be kind of fun. So, yeah, there you go. So what are we doing today? Today we are reading Emily Rodda's Rowan of Rin, The Journey. Now, this book is absolutely incredible, and one thing I did notice is that the promo art has white on the title, and this is black. I don't know if that means anything, but it means that somewhere along the way, they decided that was going to be easier to see, and I approve of that. We're reading because, you know, like, I feel like reading is something that I should do to improve my skills as a game master, to learn more, to improve my vocabulary, my cadences, my voices, stuff like that. And this is just great practice for that. So that's why we're doing this DAG Reads. It's also a nice casual way for me to catch up with you guys, find out how you guys are. And if you guys have anything you want to talk about, whether it's life, love, TTRPGs, or whatever, you know, it's a good chance for you guys to just, yeah, strike up a conversation. Because between chapters, I like to take a break to just, you know, unwind and process and just absorb everything that I've been doing. So, yeah. Oh, right, new thing. You can see we have a new donation goal. Just starting it now. How do I put this? First of all, thank you to everyone who helped donate to the previous donation goal. I can't talk about it right now for various reasons, but it has been ordered. It is on its way. That is going to be absolutely amazing, and thank you so much for your support in that. I will rest assured you, all of you will get to see it, and it'll be revealed in due time. So do, you know, sort of stick around, follow that. You know, it's very important for everything. Also, I washed my hair today, and it is looking particularly vibrant. And I want to point out, I haven't had it touched up or redone in 2 months, and it's still super bright red. So I'm very impressed. My hair clearly enjoys being dyed. So I'm gonna next week get more dye done and just sort of pull more of it out. So yeah, we'll see how that is. Hello, kitten. We now have a kitten stream. Yeah. Also, for those of you who don't know, this is Prowl. Prowl, what are you doing? Prowl has taken this season, because he's a very seasonal cat, to being in my my room, and now he's here. So if you hear him jumping up and down, or if he decides he wants to come and sit on my keyboard, or start yelling at my microphone, which... Hello? There you go. Pretend you don't like scritches, but you do. Look at his face. Meow. Prowl, I love you. I do. Whoa. I do love you. There you go. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so there he is. Also, for those of you who don't know, I'm allergic to cats. So if I start sneezing profusely, that's why. All right. Yes, so new donation goal. We are working on our new donation goal, which is, of course, the road to Gen Con. As many of you know, I'm going to Utah, which has now been fully paid for, and I now have my costume on its way. Most of the pieces are here. I'm still waiting for, like, belt, shoes, a couple of other things. You know, they're on their way. But then, Utah, it's on the books. The flights are booked. I'm going there. Accommodations all sorted. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm also trying, fingers crossed, bump, 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 bump. I'm trying to go to Los Angeles for a day and hang out with the guys from Perception Studios. They have been a great supporter of our channel for a while, and you know, seeing as I'm going to be in their neck of the woods, I was like, hey guys, do you mind if I come hang out for a day? I don't know if we'll make any content or anything like that, or if it'll just be a casual visit. I really want to try and make some kind of content with them, which would be a lot of fun. But I guess we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, you know, it's fun. What else? Yes, so of course that's all done. Now the next target on my radar is Gen Con, because first of all, again, as I've mentioned before, Gen Con and such conventions are a massive, massive, massive expense. It is not something I can do alone. This here, it literally just covers barest minimum for flights and accommodations. Doesn't cover my tickets, doesn't cover my travel expenses, my food, all that sort of stuff. And because I hate asking for money, I always do. I always have. It's one of the hardest things I think any Australian has in terms of stuff. So this is as brave as I'm getting for that cost. I think all up, when all is said and done, it'll probably end up costing me closer to $4,000 or $4,500 for the whole trip. But look, just that alone plus my Patreon will get me there. And if you guys can help us out with that, it is greatly appreciated. So all donations, whether it's on my live shows or for the DAG reads, go towards this, and once we hit our goal, I'll celebrate. I'll do something. What do you guys want? Do you guys want something? I mean, I'm gonna go to Gen Con. I'm gonna do the whole recording, performing, stuff like that. I'm gonna make content at Gen Con. That's what this is, right? This is what this is. But is there something you guys would like? If you guys would like me to do a cooking stream, I'll do a cooking stream. If you guys would like me to do a a kitten stream, where I'll just go show you guys my cats more. Tell me what you guys would think would be really cool, and I'll look at doing it. B-Town, I'll see you there, dude. I can't wait. I heard that I think you and Rowdy are going, which is going to be amazing. I am actually going to be staying with the Careful Cantrip group. I say group. It's going to be Raina, me, and Dave. So we're going to be there together, but I'm also going to be there with Janet from World Anvil. She's going. Brandon, the GM, is going. There's so many people. I think Mendari's going. I don't know. I should probably ask her. I think Mendari's going. Patrick Keefe, the That Grey Gentleman, is going. Rob might be going. So lots of people. I don't know if Rob's going yet. He just, if he goes, it's a whole other thing. But yeah, there you go. Lots of stuff. Hey, was sleeping, dozing in bed until Kitty meowed, and now you're awake. Yeah, he has that effect on people, don't you? Do you have any other noises you want to share before we start reading? Whoa. Wow. Meow. Wah. Wah. Wow. There you go. Some extra cat noises for you. Okay, just, you got to leave them wanting more. You can't just keep making noises. Okay? Okay. I love you, kitten. Okay. So, all of the announcements are done. I feel like I need a kitten cam. There he is. Look at him. Look at his face. What is it, Prowl? Are they the people up there? People. And... of course, where would he want to be except right next to the microphone? So any noises you hear that, sound weird, they're definitely him. Bite you. Okay. So we are going to be reading the final installment of this this book, Rowan of the Bukshah. I have absolutely no idea what this book is about. I know, obviously the other ones are pretty self-explanatory. Rowan of Rin is about Rowan. He's in Rin. Rowan and the Travelers was Rowan meeting the Travelers. And then Rowan and the Keeper of the Crystal was Rowan meeting the Keeper of the Crystal. Rowan and the Zebak was him going and invading their enemy, the Zebak. But Rowan of the Bukshah. Now, the Bukshah we know are these kind of large yak-like creatures that live in Rin. Apart from just being yak creatures, we haven't really known too much else about them. So, let's dive in, I guess, and find out more about these gentle giants and see what this book's about. Because, like I said, no clue. What's the plot? Who knows? As far as our recap goes, Rowan is a young boy from the town of Rin, who, the people of Rin are usually quite stalwart, quite strong individuals, whereas Rowan was quite frail and quite cowardly compared to the other people of Rin. He was assigned to look after the Bukshah, these giant, gentle, yak-like creatures, because they provide cheese and fur and meat for the entire village. There's a stream that runs past the village of Rin, which provides the water for the town as well as the Bukshah. And one day it stopped. the people of Rin were worried and gathered together a group of adventurers to go up the mountain in order to try and find out what was wrong. And in order to do so, went and saw the evil witch. Well, I say evil witch. The witch, Sheba, who gave them a riddle and was kind of angry at the arrogance of the travelers and forced them to have to take Rowan as the only person who could read the map up the mountain. After a series of perilous endeavors where one by one these heroes were being left behind, it was Rowan at the pinnacle of the mountain with Strong John of the Orchard, who eventually encountered the dragon high in the mountain. And thankfully, Rowan was able to ease the dragon's suffering, but at the same time needed to make a hasty escape as the fire from the dragon then restored the water to the town of Rin. Thus, Rowan was proclaimed a hero, and many vouched for his endeavors, being steadfast and courageous, even compared to the others that went with him. In the second book, Rowan and the Travelers, we saw that we found out more about the world history, that Rowan's people were actually former slaves of a group known as the Zebak, and with the aid of two other people, the Maris and the Travelers, they were able to free the slaves who were Rowan's ancestors and repel the Zebak. Now, the Travelers are wandering storytellers and traveling people who were guided by these these kites that are flown high above in order to, kind of warn them of dangers and the like. The storyteller and elder of the Travelers, named Ogden, came to Rin because he kind of got a prophetic vision, like something was amiss, something was strange. Now, the people of Rin had, celebrated the fact that they'd come down from the mountains, and among the things that they brought with them were some berries that they began to grow in the town. A rivalry kind of began to brew between the people of Rin, who wanted to keep their berry supply secret so they could keep, they can keep the market value of the berries high. They wanted to keep it secret from the travelers. But the Travelers were known to be quite flighty and whimsical and not really respectful of things like fences. So there was a bit of tension there. But sure enough, after a couple of days of relatively inhospitable exchange, the Travelers left. But as they did so, a sleeping sickness fell over Rin. Thinking that the Travelers had somehow, orchestrated this, Rowan and Alan the Baker, who is half traveler, half person of Rin, went to find the Travelers to demand an explanation, only to find that there was none. They were not responsible. They were they were concerned that something was wrong. And so they were actually heading to the homeland of the Travelers, a place talked about in legend, kind of like a city of gold. Rowan, Alan, and Zeal, one of the kite riders, were assigned to go and look into what remained of the old ruins, and found out that the Travelers had come from a place where these plant-like creatures would put everyone to sleep and then emerge from the ground and eat them. It was not very hard for them to deduce what was exactly wrong and rush back to Rin just in time to save the people of Rin from being devoured by the berry plants who were that very same plant creature. In our third book, Rowan and the Keeper of the Crystals, Rowan's descendants, back when they were slaves, served a very important purpose to the people of the Maris, who were these amphibious creatures with webbed hands, scale, like kind of like sort of aquatic kind of nature, and the like. They had originally 4 clans who would argue and kind of stab each other and do horrible things, but they bonded together over a powerful crystal known just basically as the Crystal. And it fell to one of the 4 clans to determine who would be the Keeper of the Crystal. But when the Zebak invaded with the people of Rin's ancestors, that 4th clan was wiped out, leaving the entire Maris vulnerable. It was one of the slaves, an ancestor of Rowan specifically, who was able to decide who the next keeper would be. And since then, Rowan's family had always determined the new keeper. In this book, we saw it is now once again time for a new keeper to be assigned, and Rowan's mother is the chooser. In accompaniment with tradition, Rowan accompanied his mother to the Maris city, and there met the keeper, who, through one reason or another, ended up having to change the chooser from Rowan's mother to Rowan, after she was poisoned. Rowan, mixture of rage and anger and despair, used the candidate's challenge as a means to find and piece together a recipe to cure his mother. And so he went to this island, did a bunch of trials with three very, very different candidates, and ended up curing his mother and selecting a new chooser. Also facing off against a giant sea serpent. That was one of the ingredients, was the poison from that sea serpent's fang. So that was nuts. In the fourth book, Rowan and the Zebak, we saw Rowan's mother marrying Strong John of the Orchard, who Rowan went up the mountain with. It was a long building kind of relationship, which was really cute. But during that ceremony, in the presence of the people of Rin, some of the travelers, even Pendalis of the Maris folk, a giant creature known as a gracht. It's like a lizard kind of it's kind of like a giant dragon. It's like a mini dragon, that kind of thing. Swooped down, grabbed hold of Rowan's sister Anad, and flew it across the oceans back to the land of the Zebak. Together with Zeal, the traveler forerunner, Pendalis of the Maris people, and Alan the baker, Rowan went went to Sheba, got a riddle, and said, "This is how you find your sister." Then traveled across the storming oceans, past this huge wastelanded desert filled with these the Ishtek, these large kind of centipede-like beasts that dragged people from underground, into the city of steel where the Zebak were, and managed to find the remnants of the slaves who Rowan was descendant of, still in the city, but they weren't like the other people of Rin. They were like Rowan. It turns out when the Zebak invaded, they brought their strongest slaves to try and overtake this place, but in turn, when the people of Rin rebelled, that's who were there. But there were also others who were smart, who were artistic, who were creative, and they remained in the city of the Zebak. And Rowan got to meet some of his people, which were Sarah and Norris, I think their name was. And Norris. Sarah and Norris. And also learnt of a Zebak invasion that was going to be coming by sky. Quickly grabbing hold of one of the Gacht and flying back to Rin with Norris, Sarah, his sister Anad, and the rest. He only arrived just in time to warn everyone about the incoming invasion, as it was following them right behind. However, thanks to the riddles provided by Sheba, the witch again, they managed to avoid a catastrophe by hiding in their houses instead of fighting, as the people of Rin often like to do. And turns out a flying army is not welcome, according to the dragon of the mountain. And the dragon made short work of the Zebak, who were annihilated, and whatever survivors remained would know very well that by sea, the sea serpents and the keeper of the crystal protect these lands, and by air, the dragon rules its domain. So those were the 4 books. In short summation of what had happened. And the legend that is Rowan has grown to just phenomenal heights. We now find ourselves in the final book of the series, Rowan and the Bukshah. If you have any questions throughout the book reading, let me know. We will obviously address them as we can. But let us begin where all stories do. Chapter 1, It is a Curse. The village of Rin huddled, freezing in a silent world of white. Deep snow blanketed the valley. The mountain brooded against the grey sky like a vast Alp sculpture capped with clouds. Never had there been a winter like this. Never had the snow fallen so thickly. Never had the cold been so bitter. And never had it lasted so long. By the calendar it was spring, the time for planting and for blossoming, bees and nesting birds, but still the air was deadly chill. The fields and gardens lay buried, and snow weighed down the bare branches of the trees in Strong John's orchard. A meeting was called, but it was too cold for the people to gather in the village square. They crowded instead in the house of books, shivering and murmuring amidst the smell of oil lamps, parchments, and old papers. Deep shadows flickered on worried faces, gesturing hands. The lamps were low, for the oil was like everything else in short supply. Rowan, who had been in the Bukshah fields when the meeting bell was sounded, arrived last of all. You missed the fourth recap. Alright, you know what? Let me pause here real quick. So super quick. Also, by the way, welcome Uncle Fluffy Gamer. That is an amazing name. Short recap of the fourth book. Rowan and the Z-Back. During the marriage of Jiller and Strong John of the Orchard, Rowan's sister Anad was grabbed by a giant flying lizard creature known as a Gracht and taken across the sea to the land of the Z-Back. Rowan, in the company of Zeal the Traveler, Alan the Baker, and Pendalis of the Maris people, traveled across the stormy sea to the lands of the Z-Back. After crossing the sea, braving against the harsh deserts where the Ishtek attacked from underground, they entered the steel city of the Z-Back, only to find that Rowan was not the only one who was unusual among his people, that the Z-Back had landed the invasion and sent strong slaves to go and bolster their forces, finding only most of those slaves ended up being the people of Rin, but those who stayed behind were artistic, creative, smart, and intelligent, much like Rowan himself, and Rowan finally found the connection to himself and his people here, in Sarah, Norris, and whatever the other guy's name was, the old man. Quickly finding a way to escape through the back of another one of the Gracht, a domesticated one that was a friend to, of course, the slaves. Rowan took heed and quickly flew back to Rin, if nothing else, to warn them of the oncoming invasion by sky from the Z-Back. But arriving, they were only in time to provide a warning, not from the Z-Back, but from Sheba, the witch, who had told them of all of the stuff that would happen. And as the Z-Back flew upon mounts, they arrived in Rin, only to be decimated by the Dragon of the Mountain, sharing stories that Rin was not vulnerable by air. And that was in even shorter form, the fourth book. And now we're just getting started with here. So yeah, you haven't missed much here. Basically, it's cold, it's winter, no one knows what's happening. There you go, Myth. Only because I don't want you to miss out. I want you to kind of get the vibe, get the full thing, get a whole thing. All right. So, he's such a good boy. Yeah. Okay. Rowan, who had been in the Bukshah field when the meeting bell sounded, arrived last of all. For a time, he stood outside the door, stamping the snow from his boots. Despite the cold, he was in no hurry to enter. He knew what Old Lan, the village leader, was going to say to the people, and he had made his own decision on what he was going to do about it. For now, his mind was still with the Bukshah. The great, gentle beasts he tended to had strayed again during the night. They tried every winter, but this year they had broken out of their field over and over again. This time they had wandered past the silent mill, its huge wheel stuck fast in the ice of the stream, and moved until they had almost... No, it has to be until. It's a typo. O-N-T-I-L-L with a space in between is what it says here. And moved on. Oh, wait, no. There should be a comma. That's what it is. This time they had wandered past the silent mill, its huge wheel stuck fast in the ice of the stream, and moved on till they had almost reached the other base of the mountain. See? That's how it's supposed to be said. That's very... because it works as well. And moved until they had almost reached the base of the mountain. See, that also makes sense. Okay. It had taken hours to tempt... It had taken hours to tempt them back to the fields. Hours and the last few handful of oats from the storehouse. There'll be trouble when it is discovered those oats are gone, Rowan thought ruefully. But what else could I do? Let the Bukshah wander off to die? He did not blame the beasts for breaking down their fences. They were hungry. The bays of hail on which they fed in the winter were almost gone, and in a desperate attempt to make the food last, Rowan had been forced to cut their daily rations by half. Several of the oldest and frailest members of the herds had already weakened and died. But Rowan knew that if food was scarce in the valley, it did not exist at all outside it, except where the sheer rocky cliffs show as brutal gashes on the shimmering whiteness of the mountain. The lands were snow-covered on every side, as far as the eye could see. "You must stop trying to stray, Star," Rowan said to his favorite, the leader of the herd, when at last all the beasts were back in the field. "You must stay here where I can care for you." Star had turned her great head to look at him and rumbled deep in her throat. Her small dark eyes were troubled. She wanted to please Rowan and obey him, but all her instincts were telling her that he was wrong. Dimly understanding, Rowan had patted her, feeling with dismay the jutting ribs beneath her shaggy coat. "Spring will surely come, Star. Soon," he whispered. "The snow will melt, and there'll be grass for you to eat once more. Just a little longer." But how much longer, Rowan thought now. How long can this go on? Gritting his teeth, he pushed open the door and slipped into the crowded room. Sharan and Norris, the two young people he had rescued from the enemy land of the Zebak, moved quickly to his side. They had clearly been watching for him. Sharan's soft eyes were anxious, but her brother's was alive with curiosity. "Where have you been hiding, Rowan?" Norris whispered. "We have not seen you for days." He grinned and glanced at his sister teasingly. "Sharan thinks you've been avoiding us. She fears we have done something to offend you. Please put her out of her misery and tell her it's not so." "Norris!" Sharan hissed, blushing scarlet. Rowan forced a smile. "Of course you haven't offended me," he murmured. That at least he could say truly, though he could not deny the rest. How could he have been with his friends and not told them what was going to happen? So he had avoided them. But now they were about to hear everything. His heart ached at the thought of their dismay. Norris would have pressed him further, but at that moment there was movement at the front of the room. Lan, the village elder, was preparing to speak. She was standing in the place of honor, in front of the hanging strips of painting silks, which told in pictures the ancient story of the Rin's people in slavery during the time in the land of the Zebak. The bright paintings glimmered in the lamplight and made a strange background to her sober figure. For over 300 years, the people of Rin had lived in freedom in their green valley, with no memory of their past and no idea of that so many of their own had been left behind in the dreaded place across the sea. Then, just over a year ago now, Rowan's little sister Anad had been snatched away and carried to the land of the Zebak. Determined to save her, Rowan had followed, and had found her against all odds, and at the same time he had found Sharan and Norris, the last of the lost ones. Sharan had brought boxes of silks with her when they had escaped, and ever since that time the silks have hung in the House of Books to be marveled over and discussed endlessly by the people of the village. Lan called for silence, and everyone turned to face her, and a tense hush fell.
"Friends," Lan said, "I ask you to listen carefully to what I have to say."
She spoke firmly, taking charge as she had done so often before. But it seemed to Rowan that her face had grown more haggard overnight, that she leaned more heavily on her stick. Rowan's stepfather, John of the Orchard, stood at her right hand, and Timon the teacher to her left. Between them she looked very frail.
"Our situation is grave. The storehouse is almost empty, and the snow shows no sign of melting. Why this should be so, it's a curse!"
cried a voice from the center of the room. People turned, craning their neck to see who had spoken. It was Neil the potter. His narrow face was pale and pinched. "A curse!" he repeated shrilly. "We have offended the mountain, and now the mountain is turned against us." Rowan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the soaked boots or frozen fingers.
"That is foolish talk, Neil," said John quietly.
"It is not," said Neil. "There has never been a winter such as this one. It's unnatural. Ask Timon if you don't believe me. Timon has examined the weather records. He knows I speak the truth."
All eyes now turned to Timon, who smoothed his grey beard nervously.
"Well, this winter surely has been harsher than any we've seen before.
he said in his quiet, somewhat hesitating voice.
But there's no need to talk of curses. Our winters have been growing harder and longer for many years now, and we must remember that we have lived in this valley for only 3 centuries. In a land as ancient as this, 300 years are but the blink of an eye. Who can say what is natural and what is not? There is a traveler tale that tells of... At this point, Lan nudges him, and he broke off, but it was too late. Neil was already nodding violently. His eyes reddened, gleaming in the lamplight. Exactly, Neil cried. The tale of the cold time, when winter held the land in thrall, and ice creepers came down from the mountain, seeking warm flesh to devour. A chorus of jeers, led by Broden, the furniture maker, echoed through the room. Ooh, I do remember that one, called Alan the baker. My grandmother told it to me by the fire one winter night when I was 6 years old. As I recall, I took my wooden sword to bed with me and lay awake for hours waiting for the ice creepers to attack. There was a ripple of laughter. Neil bared his teeth. You mock me, and ignore the messages of the tale at your peril, he shouted. Alan the baker is a half-traveler himself and should know better. Is he not always telling us the travelers have roamed this land for almost as long as the Bukshah have and grazed below the mountains? And that traveler's tale seems fanciful, but are mostly woven around grains of truth? The laughter began to falter and died out. Neil's right, quavered Sola, the sweet maker. That's a different voice. Let me try. I haven't done Sola yet. Neil is right. No, this is fine. I like this one. This one is good. Neil is right, quavered Sola, the sweet maker, his soft chin wobbling as he spoke. Remember the Valley of Gold? We thought it was just a traveler's legend too. Then the ruins were found on the other side of the mountain. It was real enough once. So were the people who lived in it, though they are long dead and gone. The villagers murmured uncomfortably. The noise grew louder, quieting only when Lan raised up her hand. The traveler's cold time tale simply proves my point. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong person. The traveler's cold time tale simply proves my point, said Timon firmly. It proves that there's nothing unnatural about this cold, that it has clearly been around for at least one long and terrible winter in the land before. Well, a season hard enough at least to have passed into legend. Now, you're deliberately ignoring the most important thing, Timon, Neil broke in shrilly. In the tale of the cold time, the cold time came because the people of the Valley of Gold turned their backs on the mountain and failed to honor it, and we have done the same. He stabbed with a trembling finger at the lengths of paintings hanging behind Lan. I don't know what it was. Just so you know, I hadn't read that bit yet, and when I did the tapping thing, I just felt it, right? Like, I felt it. I was like, breathed in the character, and I was like, he's poking something. He's poking the table, he's poking this thing, and it says right here, boom, he was poking the frickin' the portraits. Fucking knew it. I feel proud of that. As an actor, that's when you know you're really in sync with it. When you're like, I'm there, I'm in it, boom. DAG in mind. Character. Sorry. I'll keep going. These images of another land and a time long gone have no place in our valley. They offended the mountain. They must be burned. Rowan's stomach lurched. The room rang with shouts of shock and protest. Norris was red-faced, his fist clenched. Even Sharan had forgotten her shyness and was crying out. Norris and Sharan had spent their lives guarding the silks in the land of the Zebak. The thought of the precious old paintings being destroyed horrified them both. These silks are our history, Neil, said Lan, her gnarled hands tightening on her stick. No, exclaimed Neil angrily. Rin's story, the only story that matters, began the day our ancestors rose against their Zebag masters on this land and began a new life. He whirled around, appealing to his neighbors. Our ancestors were brought to this land to help the Zebag conquer it, but instead, the land gave them their freedom, and this valley became their home. Once that history was all we knew, and it was enough for us.
He turned and stared at Norris and Sharan, his face sharp with dislike. But ever since the Silks and their guardians were brought here, all of this changed. Suddenly, our minds were filled with questions about times long past and best forgotten. How long did our ancestors live as slaves in the land of the Zebak? Where did they come from at first? Is there another land, an even better land than this, which was once our own? Perhaps we could be so again.
It is natural for us to wonder, Neil,
said John.
There is no harm in it.
There is harm in it, Neil gestures wildly, raising his voice to shriek. Do you not see? By looking back, by questioning, we have rejected the mountain's gift of life, and now the mountain is offended and is taking its revenge. John made a disgusted sound, and Timon shook his head.
Never have I heard such foolishness, snapped Lan, her faded eyes flashing with some of their old fire. Be quiet, Neil, and let the others with stronger heads than yours go on with the business of which this meeting was intended.
Neil flushed and without another word pushed his way through the crowd and out of the room, slamming the door behind him. But Rowan could see that not everyone in the room agreed with Lan. Several people were glancing sympathetically after Neil, and Sola, the sweetmaker, for one, looked very nervous. Perhaps Lan could see this too and was angered, for when she spoke again, her voice was harsher than it had been before.
As I was saying, our situation is grave, she rasped. By my calculations, the food remaining in the storehouse will feed all of us for only 12 more days. Then only if we are very careful. The time has come to take action. Action that I fear you will not like.
End of chapter 1. Okay, so crisis begins. Established a winter that is very harsh, coming from Rin. Interesting. I like it. I think the Bukshah are onto something. See, here's an interesting thing. If you know cattle, then you know that there is a rotation to cattle as you move it through lands. They graze in various areas so that they can allow for regrowth and stuff like that. I imagine the Bukshah are kind of important here, just based on the title and stuff, because maybe they're trying to do the same thing. Now they know the winter is cold here. The Bukshah are trying to take the people of Rin maybe into the mountain, maybe through the mountain, or to another pasture or something where there is, stuff. Abandon this area until the winter's passed and then return. That's my thought on why the Bukshah are important in this book. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. What do you guys think? Let me know. I'm going to grab a thing of water because I forgot to bring mine. But I will go get my pint of water and return. Stay here. Don't go anywhere. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Animals know stuff. Animals absolutely know stuff. Absolutely. 100%. We like to think ourselves as humans to be superior, but really, when it boils down to it, we are basically blind, deaf, and dumb to a lot of stuff in the animal kingdom, I think to not heed an animal is very risky. Not to say you need to feed your dog every time it asks for food, but, if your dog is pouring at the door and wants to get out, look, put a leash on, get it out there, do the thing. Hey, Hester, you bloody legend, thank you so much for the donation. And you, my friend, are now officially the first person to donate to our road to Gen Con. So our first step, ladies and gentlemen, has now officially been taken. Look at that. How freaking amazing. I'm so excited. Thank you, Hester. All right. Where's my mask on? There it is. Ah. Okay. Boom. Chapter 2. The Decision. Actually, before we read this, what do you think Old Lan has decided to do? What do you think the town should do about the winter? They're running out of food. They've got 12 days left. I mean, if it's winter here, chances are they could go and travel as the travelers do. They could, I don't know, like start cannibalism. No, I'm joking. They probably won't. They could eat the Bukshah. What do you think they'll get up to? What do you think they'll do? I predict kill some cattle, get some meat. Yeah, that's kind of a big one there. Because I think Rowan's not gonna like it. But she said that it's something that we wouldn't like, or that the town wouldn't like. So I mean, evacuation definitely is a big one, but you need food for travel, and that's very strange. I'm thinking maybe they're gonna ask for help. Like they're gonna contact the Maris and be like, "Hey, can you bring us some fish?" Maybe. Could be a lot of stuff. Kill some cattle. Maybe. That's a good choice. It's a good idea. You know, very sad idea. Could be go get some berries. get some berries from the mountain. That'd be really funny. Send out scouts to find food. Yeah, that's true. They don't really have too many scouts though. They do not have too many scouts. Oh wait, hold on. One thing they might do is they might go ask the witch. No one will like that. Alright, so we got some good choices there. Go kill the dragon. Go eat it. No, probably don't do that. Evacuating under these conditions could be very dangerous. Yeah, I think so too. I think my instinct is saying evacuate, right? Like that might be the suggestion, but I don't think it's wise. I think for the exact same reason, Myth, that I believe it would be not only risky, it would definitely be something that wouldn't necessarily guarantee success. Animals and Sheba know things. They do. She does have that Grax. Could ferry people to harvest food? Maybe that could be it. Yeah, that's a good choice. I mean, yeah, maybe Sheba's... No, actually, no, because it's a lizard. So if it's a lizard and it's winter... Sorry, bro. Accidentally put my foot on him because he's under my bed, under my table. Maybe Sheba is... sorry. The Grax is a lizard. Therefore, if it's winter, it could very well be that... Okay, come up. Just give me a second. There. Do you want to come up? Come up. If it's winter, the lizards will likely hibernate. If it's a lizard. I mean, I don't know. It's a magical creature. Could be anything, but that's my guess. All right, we got some guesses out there. Hold on to yours and let's see if you're right. All right. The eyes of the crowd were fixed on Lan. She raised her chin. It is my opinion that we should abandon the village and travel to the coast, where the Maris people and the travelers will shelter and feed us until we can return, she said. The room exploded in an uproar. What? Shouted Broden, her voice rising above the others. Are the people of Rin to suddenly become wandering beggars? And what do you think will happen to the village if we leave now? If the wind breaks the windows that cannot be repaired? If snow buried the houses and the roofs crack and fall in? Lan's wrinkly face tightened. It is that or starve, Broden, she said stiffly. Well, then I'd rather starve, snapped Broden. Well, I would not, called Marley the Weaver. She drew closer to Alan, her husband since summer. Alan took Marley's hand in both his own and met Broden's angry gaze. You might think it foolish, Broden, but Molly and I are more interested in living than dying, he said lightly. Our child will be born before the month is out, and we do not choose that it should come into this world only to perish. Many people nodded, murmuring in agreement, others exclaiming and arguing. Lan watched with hooded eyes. Her shoulders had slumped, and her knuckles were white as she gripped her stick. Rowan's heart went out to her. She had done what she saw as her duty, what he, John, and Timon encouraged her to do, but it had cost her dearly.
I urge you all to consider this plan with your minds rather than your hearts,
called John, raising his voice to be heard over the tumble of the room, the tumult in the room.
We need only stay until the danger is past. The Maris people and the travelers are our friends and allies. They will help us gladly, as we would help them.
Perhaps, said Broden, her broad face creased in a frown. But why must we go to the coast and leave our homes to be ruined by the snow and wind? There must be another way. Where is Rowan of the Bukshah? Her eyes raked the room. Rowan shrank back into the shadows, but it was no use. Ah, Rowan, there you are, cried Broden as she sighted him. Why are you hiding in the back of the room? You of all people. You who have saved Rin from disaster more than once should be involved in this. Everyone turned as she looked and pointed at Rowan. Rowan felt his face grow warm. His confidence had grown greatly over the past few years, but he still did not enjoy being singled out. And the fact that some of the people in Rin believed that he had special, even magical power made him even more uncomfortable. It was true that he had been able to save the village from danger in the past, but there had been nothing magic about what he had done. Magic of a kind had aided him, certainly, but it was not his own. Rowan, it is rumored that you have some strange bond, some linking of the mind with the Maris people's leader, the keeper of the crystal, growled Broden. If that is true, surely you could tell the keeper of our trouble and ask him to send help. And what of the travelers, Rowan? Sola called out. You are respected greatly by their chief, Ogden, are you not? And firm friends with Ogden's daughter, Seal, who had saved Anad from the Zebak. Why do you not use the reed pipe they gave you to call for aid? The travelers could carry supplies to the valley. We have shared our food with them often enough when they have been camped here. Rowan wet his lips. I fear that neither the Maris nor the travelers can help us now, however much they wish to, he said in a low voice. Of course they cannot, snapped Lan. We are the only people in this land who can survive the inland winter. You all know that, or should. The Maris people and the travelers always cling to the warmer coast, even in the normal season. This bitter chill would kill them long before they reached us. Sola's face fell amidst a groan of disappointment from the others in the room. Broden simply folded her arms and exchanged somber glances with her neighbors. Very well, Lan said. Now I cannot force any person to leave. The journey to the coast will be long and filled with peril. The snow is deep and the cold is bitter, and the white wolves will be hungry on the plains. The protection and courage of every strong man and woman of Rin will be needed on the march if our weakest and youngest are to survive. But any journey, however perilous, is surely better than a slow and lingering death of starvation here. The room was in utter silence. Lan's eyes swept over the crowd. She took another deep breath. We will take a vote, she said. Raise your hands if you agree with my plan. Faces were grim, but a forest of hands went up. Only Brondon and a few young children who did not understand what was happening remained still. Rowan breathed a sigh of relief. Good. It is then decided, said Lan soberly. The march to the coast will begin at first light tomorrow. I myself will divide the food in the remaining storehouses so that everyone will have a fair share. As for the rest, pack only what you can carry on your backs, my friends, for as I said, the way will be hard and long. Well, surely the Bukshah can carry... Norris began, but Lan shook her head and glanced at Rowan. It was this moment that Rowan had been dreading. Feeling the eyes of the crowd upon him once more, he swallowed and forced himself to speak. The Bukshah are far too weak to travel as far as the coast, he said huskily. They would perish on the journey. But they're dying now, one by one, someone shouted. If we leave them... Rowan's stomach churned. The Bukshah would not be left alone, he said, very aware of Sharan and Norris's listening intently beside him. I'll be staying with them. Sharan gasped in horror and looked around for Jilla, Rowan's mother. She expected Jilla to protest, to insist her son escape from the village with them, but Jilla stood proudly, silent at the front of the room, and Rowan's younger sister, Anad, looked straight ahead without saying a word. Clearly they had already known Rowan's decision and have accepted it. Most will survive no longer than a week or two, Rowan went on. But if I can keep a few of the younger, stronger beasts alive until the weather changes, then there's a chance the herd will grow again in years to come. Only those who knew him best could hear the misery in his level voice. Only they knew what it cost him to speak of even one of his beloved Bukshah dying. No, Rowan, Sharan cried, ignoring her brother who was still tugging at her sleeve in embarrassment, urging her to be still. She looked wildly around at the tall, serious faces of people who surrounded her. Tell him, she pleaded. Tell him he must not stay. Rowan is the keeper of the Bukshah, Land said harshly. The beasts know and trust him. His presence will comfort them, and may help to keep them alive for a time, even after the food is gone. You're a newcomer, girl, so perhaps you don't understand how important the Bukshah are to Rin. Our whole way of life depends on them. Without them, we would have no milk and cheese, no wool for clothing, and no help in plowing the fields. Rowan's decision is the right one. Sharan shook her head, disbelieving. How could that be? How can it be right for Rowan to be left here alone to die? Lan raises her head. He will not be alone, she said, her lips curving into a grim smile. She gestured at her stick. Plainly, I cannot walk unaided to the coast, and I choose not to be a burden on the rest of you. So I, too, will be remaining. And I, said Brondon stubbornly. The harsh lines on Lamb's face seemed to relax. Suddenly she looked very tired and old. Well, that is all there is to say then, she said. Go to your homes now, and begin preparation. The people turned silently towards the door. Wait! Sola's quivering voice rose in the silence. What of Sheba? Nervous whispers suddenly filled the room. Yes, what of Sheba? What of Sheba the wise woman? Sheba the witch, crouched mumbled over her fire, her hut behind the orchard. Sheba, whose evil temper had been made even fouler by the cold. Sheba, who for weeks had remained hidden away, spitting jeers and taunts at all who dared approach her door. Even those brave souls who had struggled through the snow to bring her food. Did Sheba know of the plan to abandon the village? Almost certainly she did. She had a fearful way of knowing such things without a word being spoken in her presence. The brave people of Rin shifted uncomfortably at the thought Sheba could Sheba could no more walk to the coast than Lan could. Would she remain behind, shaking her fist as they left her, cursing them for deserting her? Or would she insist on being carried? Many a strong man shuddered at the thought of Sheba's bony arms hooked around their neck, her greasy rat tails of hair swinging as she clung to their back like a giant spider, hissing at them to move faster. John smiled grimly. Sheba has not been forgotten, he said. Jilla, Timon, and I all tried to gain entrance to her hut this morning to speak to her. All of us were refused in turn, and cursed for our pains. It seems there's only one person she wishes to see. He turns towards Rowan, and Rowan's heart sank into his boots. Of Course they fucking did. Because this old, crotchety, mad fucking witch woman will not leave poor Rowan alone. Could you imagine, just for one day, could we have a catastrophe that doesn't involve Sheba tormenting this poor fucking farming boy? He is a sweet kid who wants to, like, look after some yaks, and this old, haggard bitch just won't leave him alone, right? Like, could you, what the hell? It's like, hello, Sheba. Sheba, we've come to tell you a plan. Fuck off. What do you mean? We're here to tell you that we're about to... No, I don't wish to speak to anyone except for the tiny weakling I have sent on many perilous journeys.
But why?
'Tis not your place to ask, Strong John. 'Tis my whims that that torment this poor boy, because I have nothing better to do in my life. I wish to make the young miserable.
Okay, you know what? To be fair, I can relate with that. Yes. Sheba sounds like a GM. Yes, absolutely. Hello, kitten. No. I can't carry... Look, I can't carry you and read, no matter how high you climb. This is not a face of someone who wants to concede. Hello? Kitty? Meow meow.
Let me have my fun, John. I'm old. Let me torment the boy.
He's clung in. Nope. You're just stuck there. Okay, look. I love you, but you can't be up here. I know. Look, just you're fine. Okay, look, see. There. No. Shh. Look, boy. I love you. No, you just can't go up. Just be good. Okay, and it's 1 more hour. Can I have an hour? 1 hour. Then you can have your chair back. Okay. Yep. He's definitely protesting. It's that time of the month again. Hell yeah! Best time of the month. I should do, side note, I should do a streamathon. I keep meaning to, because I want to try and get around 200 subs here or there. And I don't do streamathons. I don't really promote my subs or anything like that. But everyone's telling me I need to, and I'm just like, but there's more stuff, and I'd just much rather just hang out with people. So yeah. Yeah, Sneeze is on its way. I am absolutely going to. But we shall see. Also, I hope you're doing well, Nemo. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Careful cantrip. Hello, my glorious friends. Let's give you a quick shout out here before we begin. Ladies and gentlemen, Careful Cantrip, my second family here on the internet space. Please give all of the love. If you do not know who they are, or if you haven't been there, go and check them out. Not only do they have an amazing campaign with yours truly playing the role of a warlock. How do I move that bar? What bar? There's a bar? What bar? How do I move that bar? I don't know what bar. What bar? Like it's the library behind me. It's not a bar. Oh, the donation bar. Oh, it's just there should be a tip button somewhere. But don't it's okay. Look, this is my Road to Gen Con fund, and as you can see in the corner, I'm trying to go with Careful Cantrip. It makes no. It's thank you, but you guys are fine. You guys are exempt. You guys are exempt from moving that bar. Stop it. You guys are exempt from moving the bar because you guys are going to be there with me as well. And, that's the thing. Just shush. Anyway. What were we talking about? We're talking about something. My cat distracted me. Yes, right. So, the town's plan is to abandon the village of Rin in this harsh winter, leaving behind the old and Rowan. Which, of course, comes before Rowan has to go and speak to the old witch. I like this, and here's why. I think as a dungeon master and as a storyteller, we can often find ourselves writing stories with a adversary in mind, right? Like with someone as a clear and present danger and a threat. And our entire stories revolve around defeating that threat. But there's sometimes dangers which are insurmountable. And there is a special place in my heart for insurmountable dangers. Things like the weather or the environment, the actual natural world suddenly acting strange. The fact that there's this winter that is inescapable is for me just one of these like just beautiful moments where there is no big threat. It's not the Z-back. It's not a giant serpent. It's not any of this stuff. It's you need to survive the winter, and that is all. That for me is just incredible, and I'm actually I'm really loving this book, and I feel like reading this series again now that I'm an adult. Hello, now that I'm an adult. Raina, thank you so much for the $25 donation. Mwah! Love your face, you beautiful and wonderful being, you. Thank you. You did it. Thanks. It's very appreciated. Super appreciated. And look at that. We're at our 1% mark. We're at our 1% mark. And once that's all filled out, that's it. Tickets will be bought. We're going to be doing the thing. We're going to hang out. We're going to do all the cool stuff. And I've already, by the way, I know I haven't told you this, but I've already promised that if we do hit that goal, I will definitely be doing and creating a ton of content with the two of you, with you and Dave. And we're going to go do stuff. 1 is better than 0. That's very true. 1 is better than 0. 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Yeah. But yeah, that's true. That's true. Rainer, mover of bars. Yes. Rainer's you know what? Rainer is, for the first time in your life, and hopefully not the only time in your life, you are now officially part of the 1%. So there you go. Look at that. I'm jealous. I wish I was part of the 1%. Ha! Look at him. Look at him. He's just giving me attitude. There's nothing he's looking at. Absolutely nothing. He's just doing that to make me feel bad. Prow? Sup? Nothing? Just chilling? Yeah, alright. So there you go. This is my life. Life as a cat dad. You okay? You're gonna yell at me, aren't you? It's happening any second now. Meow. Is that right? Okay. He has been listening to me all stream. Yeah, it's true, he has. He has been very good. Up until I take my breaks, and then I stop reading, and then he's like, "Oh, are you done?" It's very cute. It's a very cute cat. Oh, he's got different meows. He's got like content ones, and he's got like protest ones. Hang on, let me see if I can get you a protest one. Wow. Wow. No, that's a happy one. Wow. You're a good boy. Nope. No, he's content. He's actually happy. Okay. I thought you'd be angry at me. Not angry. Okay. All right. Let's get into chapter... You okay? Need a minute? Okay. Mwah. Okay. Chapter 3. Sheba. You wish that you can't be made unhappy. You know what? I think unhappiness is a grindstone that polishes our happiness. I think people who are always happy don't understand what it is to be truly happy. Because, if everything's happiness, then what is happiness? It's those things that make our lives difficult that eventually we overcome, we move over, like it's stuff like that makes us truly happy, I think. It's very weird, but that's how I feel. Just an empty head. Yeah, he is. He's a very dense cat, but he's fun. Yeah, happiness is not a thing without unhappiness. That's true. That's true. And, just like happiness is, unhappiness is also very temporary, It's something you chase. That is why one of the key things in life is the pursuit of happiness. Because anything worth getting in life is never easy. Otherwise, everyone would have it. That's literally it. All right. Rowan, go and see the old witch, and we'll see what happens here. All right. Rowan trudged through the orchard. I keep saying orchid. Rowan trudged through the orchard, following the trail of deep footprints left by John, Jiller, and Timon earlier in the day. He kept his head down, He didn't want to look at the bare trees standing stark around him, their trunks smothered with whiteness, their twisted branches clawing at the grey sky like frozen skeletal fingers. He did not want to see Sheba's hut hunched ahead, half buried in snow, icicles fringing its low roofs. But he could not stop himself from smelling the smoke of Sheba's fire, sour with ash and bitter herbs. He couldn't close his ears to the muffled sound of her voice, droning inside the hut and then stopping abruptly as he stepped onto the flat, cleared space before the door. It is foolish to feel this dread, he told himself, as slowly he crossed the icy, trampled ground. I am not the young, fearful boy I was when I faced Sheba for the first time. Nothing she can do to me will make things worse than they are now. Nothing she can tell me will be more terrifying than my own imaginings. But still he shuddered, because he had learnt that for all of Sheba's malicious teasing, for all her delight in wanting her chosen victims to squirm, she always spoke the truth. And if her purpose in asking for him was to snuff out the last small flame of hope that still burnt in his heart, he could not bear it. There was no sound from the hut now. All was silence, except for the sound of the snow crunching beneath Rowan's boots. At the door he closed his eyes for a moment, forcing himself to be calm. He was determined that this time, at last, he would meet Sheba without fear, and that her tricks would not dismay him. He raised his hand to knock, but before his knuckles touched it, the door flew open, slamming back against the inside of the wall of the hut with a thunderous crash. Icicles crashed and fell, plunging like spears into the snow behind Rowan's back, and a gust of hot, sour air hit him full in the face. Gasping and choking, he recoiled, heart pounding, eyes stinging.
"What do you stand there for, with the door gaping?"
Sheba shrieked from within.
"All the good warm air is escaping. Cowering fool of a boy! Make haste!"
Rowan stumbled across the threshold and into the room. The door slammed shut behind him. Well, so much for not pissing yourself when you arrived, Rowan. All was dark inside, except for the fire burning with red. Its flashes of green. Burning red with flashes of green. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sick, so I'll listen while taking a nap. If you suddenly scream for no reason, I'm unsubbing. Well, look, I'm sorry, Nemo. I'll put on my soothing voice. Slowly, Rowan's watery eyes picked out the humped shape that was Sheba. She had slumped back into a chair, which had been so drawn close to the heart that its feet were hidden by mounds of white ash.
"Come closer, Rowan of the Bukshah."
The grating voice was deceptively gentle now.
"Closer, but not too close. Your skin is cold, and my heat is precious."
Clumsily, Rowan moved forward, feeling as though he was swimming through a thick, foul-smelling dimness. Then with a cry, he leapt back as something huge and growling rose from the side of the room and lunged at him. Sheba's spiteful laughter rang in his ears as he sprawled onto the filthy floorboards and twisted wildly, crawling to safety. A burning, scaly nose nudged at his arms, hot breath scorched his cheeks, and flat yellow eyes stared down at him, and leathery wings thumped on the floor, covering him with dust. Rowan's blind panic had vanished, to be replaced instantly by an irritated shame. The attack had been no attack at all. He had merely been greeted by Sheba's companion, Unos the Gracht. He crawled to his knees, the shock having left him weak. His hands were shaking as he raced to scratch Unos's shoulder. The scaly skin was not as cool as he remembered, but burning hot. The Gracht hissed with pleasure.
"Have you forgotten, Unos boy?" cackled Sheba with a malicious delight. "Why, for shame! Did she not carry you and your idiot friends all the way home from the land of the Zebak only last summer?"
Rowan stood up, trying to ignore the pain in his bruised leg and shoulder. "I had not forgotten Unos, Sheba," he said calmly as he could, "but I did not expect her to be in here with you."
And why should
And why should I expect it, he thought, as the vast, mottled body swayed before him, radiating heat. Who would try to keep such a large creature indoors? Now that his eyes had adjusted to the light, he could see that there was no furniture in the room except for Sheba's chair. Everything had been cleared to make room for Unos.
We have work to do,
Sheba said. She made a soft, twittering sound, and Unos lumbered over to her, flopping down beside her chair. Sheba took a small stick from the bundle she held in her lap and tossed it into the fire. The flames flickered green. The room seemed to once again become even hotter, and the Gracht hissed contently and raised spines on her back to full height to better soak up the warmth. Rowan wet his lips. You wish to speak with me, Sheba? He asked.
Why would I wish to speak with you? The old woman sneered. Those fools in the village might think you're a great hero. They might think that you have something of importance to say. But I know better. Yes.
Her brown teeth gleamed in the firelight as she grinned. Rowan said nothing. Sheba had done her best to shake him, and she had succeeded. But he was determined to not let her win this battle of nerves. The silence lengthened. The fire crackled. Rowan's head swam with the heat. Oh, I see a challenge from Nemo. I see how it is. No. That's not how this works here. It's... Go, Dad, go! Oh, did I get it? Little victory dance. That's right. This is my house. I protect who I want. Sorry. It's the little things in life that bring me joy. More important than any role I've made in a game of D&D. Okay. The fire crackled. Rowan's head swam with the heat. At last, Sheba moved impatiently in her chair.
You dare play games with me, boy, she rasped. Do you not know by now that I could crack you like a nut if I choose?
She snorted as Rowan kept silent.
Have you begun to believe the tales they tell you? She sneered. You dreamer. Why, without me, you would be nothing. Nothing. You have always been nothing but my instrument, following my instruction.
I know that, Sheba, Rowan said hastily, even as it flashed into his mind that what she said was not quite true.
Liar,
Sheba hissed, and Rowan's chest tightened as soon as he realized that she had read his mind. As he began to stammer explanations, she spat viciously into the fire.
Do you think I'm a fool that you try to flatter me, agreeing with me when you do not believe? She demanded. You are just like all the rest, ungrateful, ignorant, plotting and planning behind my back. I'll show you all.
This sounded ominous. Will you be leaving here in the morning with the rest, Sheba? Rowan ventured.
No, I will not, she sneered. Am I baggage to be carried by floundering oafs? Now hold your chatter. I did not summon you here to speak with you, keeper of the Bukshah, but to speak to you. Gather your poor wits and listen.
She leant back in her chair, mumbling to herself, her clawed-like hand clasped together at her throat. She slowly lowers her eyelids as they droop until her eyes were nothing more than gleaming slits, shining green at first, then white. Rowan's heart thudded painfully. The droning voice rose and fell, but he couldn't make out any of the words. He took a step forward, but the heat of the fire, or maybe Sheba herself, was so intense that he gasped. Instinctively, he tried to stumble back, but could not move. The heat had caught and held him like a web of invisible fire. He struggled in its embrace, feeling it burn his skin, heating his blood and scorching his bones. Then Sheba's mouth opened, and she began to speak clearly. The words came to Rowan in waves of scarlet heat. It was as though he saw them rather than heard them. They seemed to enter his eyes like a burning brand, imprinting themselves upon his brain.
The beasts are wiser than we know, and where they lead 4 souls must go, one to weep and one to fight, one to dream and one for flight. 4 must make their sacrifice in the realm twixt fire and ice. The hunger will not be denied, the hunger must be satisfied, and in that blast of fiery breath, the quest unites both life and death.
The voice trailed away. Sheba's mouth closed, the terrible words ringing in his mind. Rowan found himself staggering backwards out of the fiery haze. Sheba's wrinkled eyelids slowly lifted. Her face was haggard with exhaustion.
Well,
she mumbled. I do not understand, Rowan stammered.
That is no business of mine, she snapped. I have told you what I've had to tell. The rest is of your concern. I have another task to do, and do it I will, though I will have no thanks for it.
Sheba, you must, Rowan cried, but she waved him away irritably.
Be still, she ordered.
You're wasting my time and stealing my heat and draining my strength. She took a deep, raspy breath, and when she began to speak again, she spoke rapidly, and all traces of spite seemed to have left her voice. For the first time in Rowan's life, it was as if she was speaking to him as an equal.
I cannot help you any further, Rowan of the Bukshah, she croaked. All I know is that only you can do what must be done. All I can tell you is that everything you have learned until now has been preparation for this moment. All I can give you is this.
She clutched at her throat again, fumbling at something hidden under her ragged shawl. As she drew the object into the light, Rowan saw it was the strange old medallion she had given him to take to the land of the Zebak. It was hanging around his scrawny neck, still threaded with its faded cord of plaited silk. Rowan stared. He had forgotten all about the medallion. Certainly he did not remember giving it back to Sheba on his return to the village, but he must have done. For there it was, clutched between her yellow nails, curved like claws over its dull surface. She lifted the cord from her neck and held out the medallion.
Take it,
she hissed.
Wear it. Learn what is to be what I am.
Rowan hesitated. The last thing in the world he wanted to do was obey, but his hand stretched out without his willing it, and before he could think, the medallion was glowing between his fingers, and he was slipping the cord around his own neck. The medallion was far, far heavier than he remembered it to be. It seemed to almost weigh him down. Sheba slumped back into her chair, as if with relief.
So, it is done,
she muttered. Oh, Sheba's voice is quite a grating voice. All right.
So it is done, she muttered. Go now. Unos and I must take in more heat yet. We must have all the fire has to give.
She threw another stick into the fire. The flames crackled and burned green. Slowly, she closed her eyes once more. But Sheba, what am I to do? Asked Rowan desperately.
Watch and wait, she said,
without opening her eyes.
When it is time, you will know.
Green light flickered on her sunken cheeks. She began to breathe, slowly and deeply. Rowan knew she would not speak to him again. He left the hut like one walking in a dream. As the door closed behind him, the freezing air rushed into his lungs like a knife, and white light dazzled his eyes. Dazedly, the medallion hanging heavily as a great stone. Dazedly, the medallion hanging as heavy as a great stone around his neck. He stumbled along the line of his own footprint in the orchard. As he stepped among the buried trees, he heard Sheba's muffled, droning chant begin once more. All right, on to chapter 4. Turns out Sheba is the bee-bag, and she's been crafting every hardship Rowan's known of her amusement. That wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know. I feel like there's something more to Sheba. Like, she is definitely... I feel like Sheba might be a dragon, if not the dragon. That would be kind of cool, because at least in D&D, dragons are shapeshifters, you know what I mean? So, I mean, maybe that could be it. Oh no, please don't say the trials have all been training for her to take his place in the village. Oh, maybe. I mean, it makes sense, but it's not like Rowan's ever had prophecies. And he's connected to the, what do you call it? He is connected to the Keeper, right? So he's got some psionic powers. Not good ones, because it's like a call to one person. But maybe. Interesting. Let's read the rhyme again real quick. The beasts are wiser than we know, and where they lead 4 souls must go. One to weep and one to fight. One to dream and one for flight. 4 must make their sacrifice in the realm twixt fire and ice. The hunger will not be denied. The hunger must be satisfied. And in that blast of fiery breath, the quest unites both life and death. Interesting. The beasts are wiser than we know. Bukshah, makes sense. Where they lead, 4 souls must go. Rowan, Broden, Lan, and Sheba, I reckon. Maybe. Oh no, I reckon Sarah, the other, you know, his friend, I reckon Sheila is gonna stay. So 1 to weep, Sheila. 1 to fight, Brondon. 1 to dream, Rowan, because she said Rowan was a dreamer somewhere in this chapter. And 1 for flight. I don't know what flight is. Flight is like running away. So maybe old Lan will run away, maybe. Who knows? 4 must make their sacrifice. It's natural. In the realm twixt fire and ice. Maybe in the mountain where there's like a volcano, maybe. Or I don't know, maybe somewhere up the mountain where the dragon is. Could be it. Hunger must not be denied. Hunger must be satisfied. Like, I'm imagining maybe the Bukshah are hungry. Or maybe they need to feed the Bukshah to the dragon. I don't know, maybe. In the breath of fire. Yeah, so breathing fire. So maybe the dragon's dying. And that's something they need to feed a young dragon. So that's why it's so cold. So the dragon's fire keeps the whole place warm. But when the dragon is dying, the dragon is unable to keep the valley warm. Maybe. Look, that's my guess. I think. Who knows? Could be right, could be wrong. We shall see. We shall see very soon, I guess. Let's see. Who's been messaging me? I've been getting I've been blown up. Like, I got a lot of messages during that little reading chapter. Nope. No one I need to pay attention to. That's fine. Okay. Rowan's very short of his lack of magic. Yeah, he is. I mean, maybe he is going to be the next wise person. Or I think more likely old Lan will probably die during this, and then Rowan will end up as town mayor. That makes more sense to me than him being the witch. But I guess we'll see. All right. Chapter 4, 1 to Dream. Rowan knew that Jilla, John, and Anad would be waiting anxiously for him at home, but he deliberately slowed his steps as he left the orchard. He was shaken and confused, but one thing was very clear in his mind. Whatever else he said of his time in Sheba's hut, The words her terrible rhyme must remain his secret. 4 must make their sacrifice. If John and Gilla heard those words, they would refuse to leave the village in the morning. It had been very difficult for Rowan to persuade them that they should join the march to the coast while he remained with the Bukshah. Only when Lan had taken his side and they had reluctantly agreed. If they heard the rhyme with its ominous talk of beasts and sacrifice, they would change their mind again. And that must not happen, Rowan thought desperately. The one thing that will help me bear what is to come is knowing that those I love, the people I love at least, are safe. But as he had left the orchard and began toiling past the snowdrifts that covered the vegetable gardens, even that comfort began to fail him. In the distance he could see many people gathered by the storehouse, as Lan was passing out shares of the remaining food. The bundles people were carrying away looked pitifully small. Rowan's heart sank as he pictured the group setting off on the morrow, plowing towards the coast through deep, trackless snow, guided only by the sound of the buried stream. The journey to the Maris took at least a week, at the best of times. How much longer would it take when every step was a battle? 3 weeks? 4? Even longer? Slowly the food would run out, and cold and hunger and exhaustion and wolves would take their toll. Rowan felt a thrill of pure terror. Fighting it down, smothering the terrible imaginings that it caused it, he lowered his head and trudged on, hoping against hope that no one would turn to see him. To his relief, he reached the first house without being hailed, and he moved on towards the village square. As he passed Brondon's workshop, he heard the lonely sound of hammering. Brondon was working, stubbornly refusing to admit that soon there would be no one who needs her wares, trying to forget that soon only she, Lan, and Rowan would be left. One to weep, and one to fight. One to dream, and one for flight. Brondon is the fighter, Rowan thought. And am I the useless dreamer? If Sheba is to be believed, Lan might weep tears of rage at her helplessness. But who is the fourth? Who is the one who would run away? Unwilling, his eyes turned to the pottery. The door was closed. The windows were shuttered, and no sound came from within. If Neil was indeed there, he was keeping to himself. Like a shadow, Rowan slipped through the deserted square and moved on. He peered through the window of the He peered through the window of the house of books and saw that it too was empty. Only the silk stirred gently, billowing in the draught that blew beneath the door. So that painted figures and trees and animals seemed to be moving as if they were alive. Rowan's eyes were drawn to one particular scene, the one that had always affected him the most powerfully. It pictured the slave village in the land of the Zebak just over 300 years ago. It showed the Zebak guards tearing the bravest and strongest of the slaves from their weeping loved ones and locking them in iron cages. Perhaps the people in that painting scene already knew the strong ones were to be chained to the oars of fighting ships and forced to row across the sea to fight the Zebak cause. But no one could have guessed that in the new land the slaves would turn against their masters and gain their freedom. No one could know that in their new life, in the peaceful Rin Valley, they would not remember their past because the Zebak had destroyed their memories. And no one could predict that the gentle souls left behind in slavery would eventually dwindle until 300 years later, only Sharan and Norris remained to represent them. Or perhaps, Rowan thought, there was one who had seen the future. In the midst of the confusion, a bent old woman had been painting, holding a bundle of herbs, showing that she was a wise woman and a healer, and was secretly passing a medallion to a younger woman in one of the cages. Rowan raised his finger to the medallion, hanging heavy around his neck. His memory of it came flooding back now. It did not just look the same as the medallion in the picture. It was the same. It had come to the Rin Valley with the young woman. It had been passed down through generations of wise men and women who had followed her until it came into Sheba's hand, and now Sheba was giving it to me, Rowan thought. But not as she did before in the land of the Zebak. She was with me in spirit. This time it's different. I feel it. There was a roaring in his ears as he remembered Sheba's words. Take it. Wear it. Learn what it is to be what I am. His breath was misting the window. He could no longer see the billowing silks, but he made no effort to wipe the glass clean. He did not want to see the grave, intent faces of the two women, young and old, as something... Sorry. He did not want to see the grave, intent faces of the two women, young and old, as something rare and powerful was being passed between them. He did not want to think what Sheba's gift may have meant. Learn what it is to be what I am. He turned from the window and made sure that the medallion and its cord were completely hidden under his clothing, and began to walk rapidly that way. Now he wanted to reach home as fast as he could. His face was burning, but his heart felt icy cold. He covered the remaining distance quickly, and was soon opening his own gate and hurrying down a clear path to his house. Anad, who had been plainly watching him, threw the door open before he reached it. She clasped his hands and drew him inside, and then dropped it with a small shriek of surprise. "Oh, you're hot," she shrilled. Rowan looked over her head to the anxious face of John and Jilla, who had left their packing and come to meet him. "Sheba's fire is very warm," he said, pulling off his padded coat. "Far warmer than is natural. She's been weaving some sort of heat spell for herself and Unos, I think." "No doubt. She would be foolish to hope that she plans to share it with the rest of us." "No doubt we would be foolish to hope that she plans to share it with the rest of us," said Jilla dryly. "I fear so," Rowan agreed. "She accused me of robbing her heat, and it seemed like I did steal some without knowing it." He rubbed his hands together, only now realizing that he had not felt the cold since he left Sheba's hut. "What did she tell you, Rowan?" Anna demanded. Rowan shrugged. She was angry. She had said that she would not be leaving in the morning. She said we were ignorant and ungrateful, and that she would show us all. "Show us? What does she mean by that?" Jilla exclaimed. "I do not know." Rowan slumped on the table, which was cluttered now with piles of folded blankets, food, and other supplies which were to be packed. "She said she had something to do, for which she would get no thanks, but she would not explain what she meant."
"Perhaps she is going to try and stop us from leaving," John said.
"Perhaps." Rowan bent to unlace his boots. He had done what he set out to do. Without telling a single lie, he had turned his family's attention away from him and towards Sheba's feelings about the forthcoming march to the coast. It was a relief, but he suddenly felt very lonely and terribly weary. "I'm sorry," he sighed. "I wish I could have been more help, but there is nothing more I can tell you." Hello, the dreaded DM, hey? Is that someone I recognize, or is that someone brand new? Let me know. Who are you, stranger? Who has entered into the crypt of the dead Aussie gamer? Announce yourself and be welcomed, friend. I'm looking at you, buddy. Looking at you. It's bugging me. It's not bugging me. It is bugging me. It's bugging me. Who are you? Who are you? Are you who I think you are? Are you not? Are you sneaking in? Are you quiet? Are you handsome? Are you... Say something. Anything. No, I don't think we know each other. Very well. All right, in which case, welcome. One of my very good friends and streaming partners is the dreaded GM. And look, I didn't know it was a newcomer, okay? Look, to give you some context, okay? One of my streaming partners is called the dreaded GM. And having someone come in called the dreaded DM, I was like, have you rebranded? Is this a new name? Are you my friend who's trying to be like a sneaky spy? I didn't know, okay? Just got it out. Anyway, hi, welcome. You know what? I'll take a moment. Hello, welcome in. My name's Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer. I do a lot of TTRPG streams here on the Twitch space. It is a absolute pleasure to meet you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I'll read everything between the chapters. But if you have any questions or things you'd like to ask, throw it in chat, or things you'd like to talk about. I am a professional game master and role player. I've played more games than if you played a game every week since Gary Gygax made Dungeons and Dragons, I've played more games than you. So I played too much. So if you have any questions about stuff, let me know. Throw them in chat. We have also a very welcoming community who are here enjoying DAG Reads, where I read books. Okay. All right. That night was colder than ever. No fresh snow fell, but by midnight the valley had been filled with a strange icy mist which chilled to the bone. The people of Rin, packed and ready for the morrow, were silently to their rest, their minds and hearts numb with a dread few of them who would admit even to themselves. And in the darkness, more than one remembered Neil's shrill voice rising in the crowd of the House of Books. The cold time, when winter held the land in thrall, and ice creepers came down from the mountains seeking warm flesh to devour. Rowan lay in his narrow bed, fully clothed, watching the shadows move sluggishly on the walls of his attic as the candle burnt low. He no longer shared a room with Anand, who now slept in the small downstairs room John and Jilla had both built for her. Usually Rowan relished his privacy and the extra space, but tonight the attic seemed very empty. He told himself that he should undress before the candle died. He told himself that he should try and sleep, but he could not find the energy to move. The mist crawled at his windows, white and smothering. He shuddered at the very sight of it, but at the same time he was glad for it veiled his view of the brooding mountain. The people of the Valley of Gold turned their backs on the mountain and failed to honor it, and we have done the same. Surely Neil had been speaking superstitious nonsense, as Lan had said. Surely... On the stool beside Rowan's bed stood the golden owl he had found in the ruins of the Valley of Gold, on the other side of the mountain. The owl gleamed in the flickering candlelight, its emerald eyes seeming to glow as if they were trying to tell him something. Rowan stretched out his hand to it. Its smooth surface seemed warm under his fingertips. The Valley of Gold was not destroyed by the cold times, he reminded himself. In the travelers' tales, the people made their peace with the mountain, and spring came again. The valley did not meet its end until much later, centuries later, when it was overtaken by the killer trees of Unrin. The people made their peace with the mountain. But how? Four must make their sacrifice. Rowan's fingers tightened on the golden owl. Its green eyes seemed to flash. The candle flickered and went out. The next morning, Rowan opened his eyes in a place that seemed strange to him. Sorry, no, I think that's not right. Yeah, sorry. Rowan opened his eyes in a place that was strange to him. It was cold and bleak, snow-covered, the sloping ground and sky were dim, but not dark yet. Cliffs towered above him. He knew he was on the mountain. Not far away, 3 cloaked and hooded figures were trudging through the snow in single file, following a well-trodden path that led upwards. They were all carrying torches, the flames blowing smoke in a bitter wind. The leader, a tall, broad-shouldered person, was limping, leaning on a stick. The second figure was small and delicate. The third was slight and of medium height. This is the end. The last figure in the line paused, turned his head and looked directly at Rowan. With a chill, Rowan recognized the face. It was the face he saw every time he looked in the mirror. The face that stared at him, stared through him as if he was invisible. Rowan was outside himself. He was watching himself from a distance, but he could feel the emotions raging behind those glazed, unseeing eyes. Fear, anger, and a terrible, aching grief. I'm dreaming, Rowan thought, and struggled to wake, but the dream was too real, too strong. It gripped him and held him helpless, forcing him to watch the scene before him, unable to move or speak. The small middle figure stopped and turned. It was Sharan. She was holding a long wooden box in her arms. the box of silks she had carried from the land of the Zebak. "What's the matter?" she cried in a low voice. Rowan's figure shrugged. "I felt there was someone else here for a moment, watching us," he said. The tall leader growled impatiently, coming to a stop and easing their injured leg. How could there be? He growled. "We're the only ones left." How could they be? We're the only ones left. It was Norris, his handsome face tight with strain, his eyes haunted. The only ones left, he repeated, and suddenly he gave a bark of harsh laughter. Sharan glanced at him anxiously. "The light is failing," she said, clutching the box more tightly. "We must move on. We must follow the beasts." Norris looked and laughed. "What is the point?" he said loudly. "Where can it matter where we die?" Dropping the stick, he flung himself to the ground. Sharan ran to him, and Rowan saw himself moving quickly to join. Together they pulled Norris's arms, and Norris lay where he was, sprawled amidst the churning mud and snow, his body racked again and again with gales of terrible laughter. "Get up," Rowan heard himself say in a calm, determined voice. He would not have recognized it as his own. "We will not leave you, but if we stay here, we all die, to no purpose. And when the others return from the coast, they'll never return." Norris wheezed between gasps of laughter, which were more like sobs. "They're all dead by now, I'm sure of it, and the wise woman with them. Do you not understand? We're finished. This is the end." Sharan opened her mouth as if to scream, but when the sound came, it was very faint, as though Rowan was hearing it from far away. A mist was closing over his eyes, and he woke, choking, his heart pounding. He was burning hot, bathed in sweat. He tumbled out of bed. Sharan's scream still echoing in his mind as he tumbled to the window and flung it open. He leant out into the night, taking deep, gasping breaths. The mist swirled around his head, thick and icy cold. "Learn what it is to be what I am." "No," Rowan told himself repeatedly. "No, no, 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 no," digging his fingers into the rough wood of his sill. It was nothing but a stupid dream. There was nothing real about it. How could I climb the mountain with Sharan and Norris? They're going to the coast with the rest in the morning. And then his heart gave a great thud, for suddenly the scream he had heard in his dream came again, muffled by the mist, but high and full of terror. And this time there was no doubt. It was real. End of chapter 4. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'm a baby streamer from Ireland. I'm experimenting with streaming right now and just showed up here looking as your followers suggested. Oh, that is freaking amazing. Well, welcome to the streaming community. Tell us what you stream. Give us some info. Give us some insight. You know, I'll tell you what. No. You know what? No, let's stir. Because here's the thing. Welcome again to, my channel. Here I do stream entirely because it tickles my fancy, okay? We do nothing but celebrate people, and I choose this moment to celebrate you because if my fans have gone to you and recommended you come see me, that means that for whatever reason they would like me to see your stuff. So let's go take a quick look over at your channel, if that's not too weird. I mean, it's weird, but I'm still gonna do it. So let's see, how do we look over here? Let's see, the dreaded DM. The dreaded DM, I like your artwork, that's really cool. Love the spearman. Table into fire. Ooh. Doing some reading and stuff like that. That's really cool. Very unexpected. No, that's fine. I hope you don't mind. I don't usually do this because I know, because there's like terms of services and stuff like that. But I'm going to ask your permission. Is it okay if I play a short clip from the video that's available on your channel right now? And I'll just, I'm not going to give you any feedback or anything like that. I'm not that uncouth. But I just like to see it, and I'd like to share it with people if it's okay with you. Let me know. Sure, but it's not great. Pfft, it's fine. Look, I mean, truth be told, we all start somewhere, 100%. And you know, tech issues. Hell, I've been streaming for years, and there's always tech issues. All right, let's take a quick pick here. All right, let's see. Window capture. There we go. Beautiful. Let's just check that out here. Okay, guys. So this is our friend and new fan, the dreaded GM. And let's go see. Hopefully that should play your audio as well. I'll just go be in the. I'll just be a tiny little DAG in the corner here. And then I need to change that to here. This to here. All right, here we go. Boopity boop. There we go. Look at that. Okay. By the way, so far simple but easy setup. Very nice. Very pretty. I love it. Okay. Now I hope that my audio is working. Hope that this audio is working. Didn't record the audio for the first few minutes. Yep, that's perfectly fine. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Skipping ahead. Yep. Oh, I've done that. Infinite window. Infinite window is always fun. I think the worst one. I mean, oh, by the way, pro tip: make sure that you've closed up all your pornography before you do stuff like that. 100%. All right, let's skip ahead. Let's say 15 minutes. There we go.
Already lit it. Whoops. The end flares as he takes a draw. Then he exhales and gestures to the back of the coach. Luggage racks up there. Alright. Now, so I've taken the liberty of downloading these character sheets again from Chaosium. Chaosium actually is a really good resource.
Chaosium is amazing.
A couple of free adventures, both solo and excuse me, Jesus, both solo and for a group. And
Can I say I love your hair?
That cost money are quite reasonable. I'm not sponsored by them. This is the first time I'm ever doing this.
If you're not sponsored by them and you are looking at doing stuff with them, I actually do know the Chaosium guys, and I know Jason who does a lot of their live streaming and stuff like that. So once you get your numbers up and stuff like that, definitely stick around and poke me, because I can definitely like make some recommendations and like introduce people. I was actually on a plane with Mark Morrison, who's one of the lead writers at Chaosium. He's an awesome dude, and he lives in Melbourne. So yeah, no, I'd happily introduce that. But of course, once your following, goes up a little bit more, and you keep at it, it'll be great. Especially if you like Chaosium stuff. I know I do. I'm a really, really big fan. The only reason I don't stream it is because hey, it's super hard to stream something like Chaosium, like Call of Cthulhu, all this sort of stuff like regularly. Otherwise, I absolutely would. But it's looking really good.
Really like Chaosium. I respect.
And here's the thing. And by the way, I'm going to say this to my audience as well. One thing you always look for with streamers is people who love what they do. And this, freaking amazing. I love the fact that you're smiling. You're having a great time. Like, hey, you just had like maybe 10 minutes of tech issues, and you're churning through it. Like, I know people who literally like they start their stream, they have anxiety attacks, they then just stop streaming and stuff like that. But no, this is great. I love this.
So, that's fine. Who needs cheat sheets?
Who needs cheat sheets? Fucking brilliant.
Italics here. It's basically telling us the rules of the game and how to fill in character sheets.
Awesome. That's great. Teach people how to play.
It's a little different from, say, D&D, which is the TTRPG that I originally started playing.
What version of D&D did you start with?
I'm
keen. Let me know.
Scores that don't usually go above 20, or if they do, they don't go above like if they're going up to 30, there's something wrong. DMs, you need to like.
Yeah. Stats shouldn't go up to 30. What?
Below my my ability score total. So in this case, it's Dex. If I roll below a 50, I pass. If I roll,
Nice. Okay, I love this. I think you're very...
mention only that you've helped the police to clear up various problems.
No, this is cool. All right. So first of all, I love this. This is amazing. I'm now absolutely 100% following your channel. So I have now hit that follow button. Boom, there it is. No. Truth is this, right? I am a huge advocate for people in the TTRPG space doing what I love, doing streaming, doing all that sort of stuff. And most importantly, one of the most important things I think to any streamer is, first of all, joy, enjoying what you do, which straight away I can tell that you enjoy what you do. 2 is the bravery to do what we do, because there isn't a recipe. There isn't like a here is how you become a successful streamer. We're all fucking trying to figure shit out, right? We are absolutely trying to figure this out. And like, we make mistakes. We fuck up our audio. I mean, I do it all the time. I constantly. I mean, the fact that I have on my channel, one of the emotes I have on my channel. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna give you a gifted sub as well. So just so you can have it, right? Boom, there it is. Gifted sub. There it is. Do it. Do the thing. Don't sass me thing. Boom, there it is. Gifted sub. Also, hi, Odd Bandicoot. How you doing? Yeah, there we go. So quite literally, the fact that I have a silence wizard on my channel shows you how often I fuck up my audio, right? So like stuff like that. And the fact that you keep on going, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Shows that you've got the guts to do this. And the second thing is something that's very important to me is I love introducing people to RPGs and the stuff that we love, right? Because that's what this is all about. It's not about making money. Oh, I mean, hopefully you make money from it, but it's not about making money. It's not about like this bland, blank corporate nonsense that sort of happens. It's about, I love this thing, I'm going to share it with you. I love this, I'm going to share it with you. Like this book that we're reading, right? This book was the first fantasy adventure book I ever read as a child, right? I was a young adult. I was like maybe 14, 15 years old. And wham, this is the first thing I ever read. Why am I reading this to you guys on a Sunday? Because I want to share this with you. I want you guys in the audience to enjoy this with me. And one thing I noticed about this is you're not just playing the game. You're freaking, you're teaching people. You're showing people the thing you love. And that, for me, that's a big old Dead Aussie Gamer approval. And in fact, I'm going to give you some permissions here right now, just briefly. If you want, please share a link to your Twitter and to any other socials that you have, and I will go follow them now. And like I said, don't take this as like any kind of crazed, lunatic kind of endorsement. I'm not going to stalk you or anything like that. But I'd love to follow your progress. I'd love to just know what you're up to. And hopefully you'll make a lot of friends from my community as well. And I'd love to meet some of yours in turn as well. And yeah, let me know. And the question here, am I going to introduce you to Dread? I'll tell you what, it'll definitely come up. I'm definitely going to come up. Now I'm not going to speak for Dread. Dread is one of the loveliest people I know. And he's the Dread GM. Actually, you know what? Let me give you a shout out real quick. So this is the Dreaded DM's channel. So guys, if you do get a chance to, go and subscribe. Give a starting out streamer a little bit of support there. And here is the Dreaded GM, who is our other friend who, no, wait. There we go, much better. This is our friend, Dreaded GM, who is my close friend. So, likewise, please go follow him, go check him out as well. I will give him some, yeah, you're definitely going to come up. Absolutely, 100%. I'm also called Dread in your own channel. Yeah, no. And you know what? For the same reason that Dread's called Dread. My friend Dread, who I call Dread, so understand, I will not call you Dreaded it's very weird. I'm not going to call you Dread. I need another name to call you because Dread is Dread. I know, it's going to be weird. I have to call you the Dreaded DM unless you give me a different name because I've known Dread for years, and Dread is my partner in a bunch of stuff. But yeah, he started his channel because he had, dreadlocks and was was a GM as well. So that's where that came from. So yeah, just gave a follow. Hey, freaking Odd Bandicoot, freaking winner. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah, no. Anyway, we were at the end of our stream, which is why I'm glad that we got to do this little spotlight thing. That was kind of fun. Like I said, Sundays are chill day. Sunday is our day to just, decompress from the week, do a little bit of reading, talk about stuff, that whole thing, yeah. And that's kind of it. So I'm really glad that you stopped by and that you gave us the follow, and now you have a sub. There you go. If you want to keep hanging out here, you are always welcome. Hopefully we'll see more content from yours as we see more cool stuff coming up. So nice, truly appreciate it. No, please don't. I'm not nice. I am a colossal asshole. And I just put on nice face every once in a while. Yes, that's just me. No, I'm joking. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But guys, it's been wonderful getting to hang out with you guys today. It's been a blast. Been a lot of fun. Can I call you Dreddy? Dreddy. See, Dreddy. Okay, so Dreddy is feminine. I definitely see that. But Dreddy is in Australian. Like, it's like Dreddy is like, like you call like somebody called Smith would be called Schmitty. Or like, E is kind of like the Akka version. Like everyone gets a nickname, like Jared or Jazza or Barry Bazza. E is always kind of that. So yeah, maybe Dreddy, Dredsy. Yeah, be Dredsy. Dredsy be the Aussie version. Dag likes to say that, but it's the lies and I say around. Stop it! No! Stop it! No! You can't have that going out as a rumor. I'll lose my Australia card. Okay, before I leave, here's a cat. Meow. There he is. Look at him. Isn't he cute? Okay, sorry. There you go. That was a big complaint. I do like the sound of Lady Dread. See, but here, yeah, Lady Dread does sound cool. Lady Dread, and if you like that, Lady Dread kind of gives me that Lady Deadpool kind of thing, kind of vibe. That's cool. Dready cool. Or maybe Dreadlock. Like Goldilocks. Dreadlocks. That's kind of cool. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we'll figure something out. Macca's. Yeah, Macca's, McDonald's. It's exactly the same thing. Yeah, 100%. All right. Well, yeah, my cat likes to whinge. All right, let's go raid someone who is out and about doing stuff. Bum 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 bum. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Let's see. You know what? We're having a chill day. We're having a good time. Let's go and raid our friend Avarian. Now, for those of you who don't know, I mean, this might not necessarily be your stream, but, I want to offer our support because Avarian is a member of our community who supports our channel constantly, is always there, always looking after our channel and our community, and is also one of my players on my Patreon game as well. So he is a woodworker, a carpenter, someone who does a bunch of really, really cool stuff, including making some D&D dice boxes and stuff like that. So we're going to go hang out with him and watch him create his craft and do his cool thing. So, yeah, hang around for a bit, give him some love, throw out all the emotes, and it was an absolute pleasure to see everyone here. Odd Bandicoot, I was going to ask you, actually, seeing as you're here, are you going to be at Convergence this year? I realized I'd never actually asked you. Are you going to be at Convergence? Let me know. Yay or nay? Because I know you're a huge Quincy's Tavern fan, and I just wasn't sure. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. So for those of you who don't know as well, yeah, I should probably do my outro. Okay, so hey guys, my name is Michael. I'm DAG Gamer. This is my place. This is my face, and you can find it here a number of times per day. I do TTRPGs of all sorts of variety throughout the week. My next show is in like 9 hours, give or take. Oh, sorry, probably 8 hours actually by now. Where I'm going to be playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition Curse of the Crimson Throne with a bunch of Patreons. Also, do follow the channel because we have a special event coming up this week where we are going to be. Let's see, what's my special event for this week? Boopity boopity boop. we on the 17th of February. So that is my Friday, which would be Friday for the folks in Europe, and a Thursday night. Thursday wee hours of the morning for the folks in America. I'm going to be over on Phoenix Iwaki's channel, hanging out with Guy from How to Be a Great GM. And then Saturday, we're doing our My Hero Academia one shot. And if you are a fan of anime and superheroes, come check that out. So yeah, got cool stuff happening. Boobity boobity boop. All right, we are now leaving. Let us go. Let us vanish. Where's my button? There it is. All right. Bye, everyone. There we go. All right. Okay, before we leave, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And till we meet again, from me to you, game hard or die trying. Peace.